You're watching Newsday TV. Thanks for joining us. I'm Ken Bufa. Officials have confirmed that a small plane has crashed at MacArthur Airport. Here's video of the scene. ICE officials say a pilot and passenger were on board, but the extent of their injuries is unclear. Now, the crash happened when the plane was taking off just after 6 tonight. The FAA will investigate. And President Joe Biden has ended his re-election efforts and was fully endorsed Vice President Kamala Harris as the Democratic candidate. So what do Long Islanders make of this decision? Virginia Huey has more.
It's an exciting change.
The race for the White House hit the reset button after President Joe Biden dropped his troubled re-election bid and endorsed Vice President Kamala Harris to lead the Democratic ticket. 59-year-old Harris is the first woman, black person, and person of South Asian descent to serve as vice president. Some voters say if Harris becomes a Democratic nominee, her candidacy will attract more voters to the polls.
I think she will draw other people in. Women, yes. South Asians, yes. Black women, yes.
I hope Kamala Harris wins so she can make history.
But others say gender and race don't matter.
I hope it doesn't affect the race at all. It shouldn't. It's just who is the better person to be able to run the country.
Political experts say a new Democratic ticket shifts the dynamics in state and congressional races as well. In New York, the stakes are high, with 27 congressional seats and 213 state legislative districts up for grabs.
If Republicans are fired up and Dems are fired up, these races become, in theory at least, a little bit more competitive. You add to that the Republicans, who have had a very good message to suburban voters here on Long Island, they have to be a little careful because they can't embrace the full menu of MAGA and win over the independents and the other voters that they need.
In the wake of President Biden's decision to exit the race, some Republicans are calling for him to leave the Oval Office now. Congressman Anthony D'Esposito said, quote, "For the good of the country, President Biden should resign as president." But President Biden isn't expected to vanish from politics anytime soon. He's expected to speak at the Democratic National Convention next month and play a major role in Harris's presidential campaign.
Ironically, Joe Biden can be more valuable to Democrats when he's no longer on the ticket than if he were leading it. That's because he's always been very popular, almost beloved by the swing suburban voters who tend to determine national elections.
For Newsday TV, I'm Virginia Huey.
Now, to read more about the race to the White House, go to Newsday.com, click Get More below the Newsday TV video box. NYPD officers and family members of fallen detective Jonathan Diller flooded a Queens courtroom today as 34-year-old shooting suspect Guy Rivera made an appearance. Defense attorneys are now asking to do their own forensic examination of the car that served as a crime scene in the March shooting.
In the past, he was arrested and he was allowed back on the streets by our criminal justice system when he carried a gun and he killed our hero brother Jonathan Diller.
Now, Rivera is facing murder charges. If convicted, he faces up to life in prison without parole. And 3 men have been charged in the murder of a North Amityville man. The victim was found strangled to death in East Farmingdale last month. 38-year-old Gustavo Hernandez, 19-year-old Walter Ramirez Geronimo, and 8-year-old Wilson Ramirez Geronimo were all arrested on Sunday. They are each charged with second-degree murder. And Long Beach is cracking down on e-bikes. The city has increased the fines for riders from $2 to anything between $50 to $500. The Long Beach Police Commissioner says they want to get e-bikes for the department next year to help catch people using them on the boardwalk. And only in Newsday, a county analysis reviewed by Newsday found Suffolk approved more than $25 million in no-bid cybersecurity contracts following the 2022 cyber attack. Now, that's 4 times the amount officials had claimed was spent. Newsday reporter Mark Harrington says things could get worse.
In the end analysis, it's going to be considerably higher if there's at least $1 million in legal fees, at least $1 million in overtime, for instance. I mean, if those numbers bear out, it could be upwards of $30 million, by the time it's all said and done.
Now, the attack knocked out county systems for months and exposed the personal information of hundreds of thousands of people.
They need to sort of continue to shore up these systems. It looks like over time they're going to, I mean, for sure they're going to need to do more things to buttress the system, to fortify, to make them better prepared for these kind of attacks in the future. So there's still a lot of work to do from what we hear.
Now, to read more about this story, go to Newsday.com, click Get More, below the Newsday TV video box. Ever wonder what's behind beach closures on Long Island? Well, Sherry Einhorn has a story you'll see only in Newsday.
Long Island is surrounded by beautiful beaches.
We just love being here by the water and makes us feel like we're on vacation.
But sometimes high levels of potentially dangerous bacteria or stormwater runoff cause closures. So how is the decision to close made? Suffolk has a testing program that runs from May 15th through September 15th. About 190 locations get tested on a rotating basis. They're testing for Enterococcus bacteria in saltwater and E. coli bacteria in freshwater. Health officials say both can cause problems like rashes, infections, and gastrointestinal issues.
So anything over that, we have to make a decision whether we either A, resample it, depending on the beach and the historical knowledge of it, or B, close it right away.
The bacteria comes from fecal matter, from humans, dogs, and birds, also failing septic systems and boat discharge. According to data analyzed by Newsday from the Environmental Protection Agency, 22 beaches across Long Island were closed for 2 weeks or more last year, either because of high levels of bacteria or because of high rainfall. Tanner Park in Copaig is one of them.
If it's not safe, and have all the reasons why to close it to keep us safe, that's good. But, in the long run, hopefully they come up with a solution.
Things move fast once the samples arrive at the lab. Testing turnaround time is about 24 hours.
Now, the lab processes 40 to 50 beach samples every day, 7 days a week, but that number could go as high as 90.
If you happen to be in a neighborhood where you're saying, yeah, my beach is always closed, the counts are always high, that would be an area where there should be an effort towards, what's the source and what would be a project that could mitigate that source to lead to higher water quality.
Here at Callahan's Beach in Fort Salonga, the town did a complete redesign of the park, including the drainage system in the upper parking lot last year.
We installed a feature called a vortex, which takes a lot of the pollutants and litter and other debris out of the water before it gets released into the pipe that goes to the beach.
For Newsday TV, I'm Sherry Einhorn.
Now, to read more about this story, go to Newsday.com, click Get More below the Newsday TV video box. And sunflower fields are in bloom on the East End. Now, Lisa DiStefano has the story you'll see only in Newsday.
Fields are filled with big, bright blooms.
It's sunflower season, and there are so many to see. Make your way through a maze at Rock Camps, right this way.
Get lost amongst the green stems and golden petals in Baiting Hollow.
It's fun to wander the winding paths. Which way next? Let's go this way.
See different variations along the way. There are twists and turns and over 2 acres to explore. When you come to pick fruit at Patty's Berries and Bunches in Mattatuck, you can also see sunflowers in their flower fields.
And here you could pick your own. There we go. At $2 a stem. Look at my beautiful bouquet.
Patty's plants every week, so you could see sunflowers through October. And right across the road,
for a whole day of family fun, here at Harb's Family Farm, you can see sunflowers with admission to their barnyard adventure.
Their field will be full until the first frost, and there's lots to do here through the fall.
You can also grab a glass of wine from their vineyard on site and sip surrounded by sunflowers. Cheers to these beautiful blooms.
Elisa DiStefano, Newsday TV.
looks like a nice time. Now, to read more about touring the sunflower fields, go to Newsday.com, click Get More below the Newsday TV video box. Now let's take a look at your mixed forecast for some Long Island weather, and I'll show you what I mean in just a second. Tonight we have a bit of rain, but it won't be much, and tomorrow we will have some clouds to deal with, and the temperatures will be slightly elevated. Taking a look at tomorrow, you can see we are in the 80s with rain to start us off. And looking at the 7-day forecast, tomorrow's rain is not the only time we'll deal with it. You can see it's coming in on Wednesday and Thursday, but it looks like it's clearing out for the weekend.
Long Island weather is brought to you by Sun Nation Energy, helping Long Islanders save on their energy bills for over 20 years.
You're watching Newsday TV. I'm Ken Buffa. Thank you so much for joining us.